Pressing the button now. I think I pressed it. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you all for joining me. I suppose the first question is why are we here? What are we here to talk about? What was the project? If someone would like to talk about that a bit.
Mandy, you want to take it away?
Yeah,
yeah,
sure. So, Unwound, Beyond the Labyrinth is a full-length musical, meaning intended to be 2 acts, but who knows, workshops. And what began as a series of poems turned into songs, turned into a 10-minute play, was on its way to looking at doing some concert staging in person about this time last year. And then about this time last year happened, and we ended up having to switch tracks very quickly. Went into some Zoom readings, continued developing the piece, and ultimately the production team and I decided we needed more than just some of our friends to come in and read this every once in a while. We wanted to make sure we could have some actors who could take ownership of the text, and also to hear voices that weren't just mine on the demo. We also wanted to see designers interpreting the work. So we decided to have a workshop series, which would culminate in a concert, which would be a celebration of the work that all of the artists did. So where we're at this point, what we're leading to is a virtual concert, which will be about an hour in length, that is a collection of scenes and songs from the show, with the intent that it is continuing to grow, it is continuing to shift and change. So that's what we're looking at now, is a musical that will be released in a concert format virtually until we can all see each other in person safely.
Yeah. So kind of what was everyone's, if we start with Amanda, what was your involvement with the project? Where do you sit within the
right musical? So here come all my hats. I wrote the book, the music, and the lyrics. I do the graphic design primarily, and I run most of the social media accounts. Actually, I run all the social media accounts now. I was the music director for the workshop. I'm also technically the producer, and I administrate the Discord forum. So that's me.
Okay, and Connor, what's your involvement in the show?
Oh, hello. I play King Minos, the father of Ariadne. That is my role. I found out about it through who our director is for this workshop series, Lexi May Hunter, and also through my good friend Amanda. And then I am the unofficial fan edit person. That's my role, and I do some fan art of the show.
That's cool. Is it Corinne?
Corinne, yes.
What's your involvement?
So I play one of the maenads, who are the sort of Greek chorus / ensemble of the show. We do a lot of outside storytelling. We view what's going on and comment on it.
Okie doke. And Julianne?
I'm Julianne, and I play Ariadne the Memory. It's a very interesting, fun little thing where half of the show is looking back in time in the events that led Corona, the second iteration of Ariadne, who is now, as you'll find out later on. But there are 2 Ariadnes: Ariadne the Memory, me, and then Corona, Ariadne now. And I found this out through Mandy. We actually worked at a theater company in the before plague times, and they told me about it while we were passing out cookies and wine, and I thought it was really neat. And so when this came up, I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I want to do this.
To be honest, any idea that comes about during cookies and wine, I'd be up for at this point. And finally, Madeline, what's your involvement in the show?
Yeah, I'm one of the maenads as well. So I'm a member of that lovely Greek chorus. It's been fun to contribute my own little bits of creative ideas, whether or not they make it into the show. But it's fun to have been able to work on that throughout the workshop process. I found out about it because I've been friends with Amanda for several years now, because we went to the same college. So I have seen this show from its itty bitty stages up until now.
And we'll talk about it a little bit later. Obviously, taking on a new musical, new characters is obviously quite exciting. But first, how did the idea come about, Amanda? How did it build? How was it born?
Right. So it is like a maze. There are many different pathways into this show, how it culminated, because I started off getting ideas for telling Ariadne's story around when I was a teenager. And then it was interesting because every time I read The Myth of Theseus and the Labyrinth, whatever happened to Ariadne in that story would be a little different. Sometimes she was madly in love with Theseus and he was madly in love with her, and so she ended up abandoned on an island. Or sometimes it was just a duplicitous thing, and so she ended up abandoned on an island. Or sometimes he left her there because Dionysus was like, dibs. But still, for whatever reason, this couple would end up going their separate ways, and she'd still be stuck on an island, and he got to go live his life. And sometimes she got to too. She would end up with Dionysus, and they'd get married, and sometimes she'd die, sometimes she'd be immortal, or sometimes she would just straight up die. And it'd be like, sucks to suck, Ariadne. But every single time I was fascinated by her because she was a woman in Greek mythology in a position of power. She had a tool that she used with the red thread to navigate this labyrinth. She had compassion for her brother. She had this desire to do the right thing and ultimately succeeded, and then got left on an island. So I kind of sat on that island mentally for a long time, especially as I was growing up. And I thought about that feeling of loneliness and that uncertainty of the future. And I started writing down some poems. I tried a novel there actually is a novel coming out called Ariadne now, so that's fun. But ultimately, I kind of, because I'm a musical theater student and I'm an actor, I found that stage was the best way to kind of encompass that feeling of solitude that is shared. So all of these other characters who are tied to her life kind of started coming into being. Her father Minos, her sister Phaedra, Daedalus, and Icarus, who designed the maze and likely would have known her. All of these disparate elements started coming together. And I went, okay, I need to play test this material. So I wrote a 10-minute play in college that was just Dionysus, Ariadne, and the Maenads, the followers of Dionysus. And that went over like oddly well. Like everyone's like, oh, I ship it. I'm into their dynamic, like, you know, all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, we have something here, but that's not the story I want to tell. I want to tell the story of this shared loneliness, of identity, of confronting one's past, and we need other players to do it. So I started writing music for it, and that's been fed into just by the voices and the people who have entered the space, and their opinions and their sounds have shaped this. But yeah, before I knew it, it wasn't just about Ariadne. It was about also, you know, the times that 2020 brought us, of that shared isolation. It took on new meaning. And I hope that even though the work is marked by it, I hope that we can, just like she does in the story, eventually move beyond it.
And you talked about how it was built sort of creatively through the voices that were brought in. Obviously, for the performers in the show, taking on these new characters, these new stories, obviously is brand new. So starting with Connor, I suppose, did you find taking on a new role more or less stressful than you would if it was already established, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting process too, because Amanda and I both very much have like very shared connection and love for Greek mythology. So, you know, we all know the myth of the Minotaur and Theseus and blah, blah, blah. And King Minos, or really in most places called Minos, but we changed that because Midas sounded too close, the Golden Touch guy. I was kind of like, I didn't really know what I was walking into, because I actually originally auditioned for Dionysus, because I'm like, me, queer? I don't think I can play a dad. Like, so, but I got this role, and I was like, you know what? That's the role of an actor. You take what you get, and you know the people who put you in that position see something in you and see potential. And so I really have a better terms than just the words that were on a paper, because you're right. When you have a new character, there's not really like, you know, you can't go, well, when Patti LuPone played this part, like you have to kind of build from what you know and what you can put into your experiences. But with what Amanda was saying about this kind of shared solitude, it's kind of, I found a lot of internal work informing this character to what will be shown in the concert series, and a lot of less of what do I understand and what does that bring to me, and more of what do I understand and what can I bring to him and that character, which I think made the process a lot more dynamic, and I think, for me at least, made me really attached to my characters and the story, and all the characters that I interact with, or even the ones I don't, because you really do see through all of us, all of the players in the show really do put their whole heart into it. It's every character is like unique and fully built, and I just think that's a wonderful process.
So, Corin, how do you feel about, in a couple of years' time, they'll look back and you would have originated this role or played this role in the show, bringing your own perspective to it, and doing it how sort of, obviously I know there's rules from the directors and all that sort of stuff, but how what you've brought to it, do you think that was made it more of an enjoyable experience to bring your own sort of unique twist?
I'm so sorry. I missed the entire second half of that question.
Sorry, no, it was basically about you bringing your own unique perspective to the role. Did you think that helped to make the experience more enjoyable and fun to take part in?
Absolutely. And I think that for me personally, first of all, a lot of people in this cast know each other already, and I'm very much coming from the outside. I have never heard this music. I have never seen it. I knew absolutely nothing about it. And getting the opportunity to put my own self into this work that I didn't already have a connection to, and now I feel so connected to, was really fantastic. And as a member of this Greek chorus, this shared loneliness sort of plays a different role with me, and I think with the rest of us. There's 5 members of this Greek chorus, and at no point in time is one of us without the others. So we had the challenge and fun of having to create this shared loneliness together, which was a really interesting experience.
Obviously, that kind of mirrors what many people are going on. Obviously, is going on right now. Is that people are, you've still some people are with families, some people are with, housemates, flatmates, whoever they live with, but they still have that sense of loneliness because they are stuck inside. So I suppose that is really, if we do ever look back, that'll be something really important that lots of people haven't really considered going on with this time. So, Julianne, what did you think about taking on a new role in a new show? Was that more frightening for you, or did you find it, relaxing because it was?
No, actually, not at all. I'm so sorry, you cut out. Can you say the question one more time?
Sorry,
I think I missed
did you find
half of it.
Taking on a new role within a new musical, did you find that more nerve-wracking and more tense than if you were an established character?
No, not. I'm actually the idea of coming onto a show and having to get my feet and sort of find a way in like the parameters already set. That is a little bit more nerve-wracking for me, but also the character didn't feel like, it felt like I was slipping into something that was already made, but it was comfortable. Like I joked saying just like, oh, the work is done for me because I've got this beautiful character arc that's already prescribed in the myth that before I went in completely blind so I could have my own sort of reactions to it, because there's a difference between what was done versus how they felt about it. So I tried to separate myself from that as much as possible. But there's a lot of humanity in her that I found just, it really was easy to relate to and really easy to just have genuine reactions to. The idea of feeling stuck and getting yourself into a position because of wanting to have the approval of people that you care about, and then realizing that all of the work that you've done up to this point has not made you yourself happy. And then when Theseus comes along, having that idea of just like something could be different and something that I'm very excited for. Like that's a very human thing, and also something that I could relate to quite a lot, especially in the current climate. So I just had a blast. She was a very easy dress to put on, a very easy person to put on.
And so finally, Madeline, how did you think of taking on that new role in this brand new creature, the whole new show?
I thought it was really exciting. Like I'd done devised pieces of theater before, and it was a very different experience from this one, because it felt, with the particular community in this show, Unwound, everyone's just been so open and kind, and like you can throw out whatever you want and they'll take it and be like, let's give it a try. And it's just very nice to be able to like be comfortable in a space like this, to like work with something completely new, because I feel like you need a really special group of people to trust in order to like let yourself be that kind of creative.
Absolutely. So you guys touched on the concert that's coming up, and obviously plans for the future with the show. Where can people stay up to date with the show? How can we see what's going on? Where can we find you?
So let's see. So we are on Instagram. Our concert is going to be made free to watch on YouTube. The date is pending right now. We filmed all the footage. We've wrapped rehearsal. Now it's a matter of our director and our editors for sound and video are going to come together and make it look as polished as possible and make sure everyone is, looking their best. And that's just going to be up. That's just going to be seen on our YouTube. I think it's just called Unwound Beyond the Labyrinth, where we have our trailer also right now. And then you, did you say what's next, or did I?
What's next?
That?
What's the
okay.
plans?
Yeah. So what's next is, as I've said to the casting crew, I'm going to take a bit of a nap, which is what we've been working. I've been working on the show probably nonstop since March of last year, because it's been the thing that's been keeping me going, and it's fortunately found me a lot of friends and a lot of comfort and a lot of hope. But I do need to rest at some point in my life, play some Dungeons and Dragons, have a good time, but maybe sword fight a little. But I think after that, I've always been someone who took the advice of Broadway actor Rob McClure, go where joy leads you. And then also just kind of taking what I've learned from here is build practices of compassion. So I kind of want to see where that joy and that compassion leads not only me, but the other people who now have some ownership and have some care and investment in this process. So if that's like, oh, well, we should record an album and everyone's feeling like that and that's the energy and that's the joy, we'll go there. If it's, we'll do another workshop sometime later and develop more of Act 2 and fix some of these issues and this and the other thing, the show's no longer, and I don't think it's ever been entirely mine, because theater is a shared practice. So my hope is that just the more people who see it, the more people who take part in it, that's where what next will happen organically, because the want will be there and the joy will be there.
You touched on the concert and rehearsing sort of remotely. How was that process, obviously, for the performers? How did you find, doing all the work at home rather than on a stage? Start with Connor.
It was sorry.
No, do you want to go first, Julian? I'll go after you.
I was just going to say it was the epitome of chaotic good. It was so much. It was at times just so much fun and so interesting. Just trying to figure out what can work, what can't, and like changing things at the last minute because we found a better idea or something that we jive with more. Speaking as a member of the cast, we didn't just get a script and come in and everything was up. Even though we had designers, they weren't coming into our house building sets and giving us costumes. We sort of took ownership of that character and the environment in that kind of aspect. So, and then on top of that, we became cinematographers as well, figuring out and that was for me because my new job is now in video editing. And I think it has something to do with the fact that I just got so much experience with this and just feeling a little bit more comfortable with that and sort of breaking out and finding ways to do that. And so it really became a fun little conglomeration of all of the design things that I love. And so I found joy in a very unorthodox production and ways of doing things, but it was chaotic good. It was absolutely chaotic good.
It
Yeah,
must have been
I would say like
difficult. Oh, sorry. You can go.
no, you're good. You go.
No, I was just saying it must have been difficult to if you're singing to a computer or to your microphone, there's not always solos or we've got duets, group numbers. They must have been quite difficult to produce them. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see the full blooper reel when we're done, because I feel like I have more that I could share, because there are definitely moments where there's one of the, but I think the most I got was there's a scene where it's kind of like leading up into the memory portion of the show where it's the Europa scene. This is Minos's mom, Ariadne's grandmother. And it's kind of like introducing, like, here's Minos, here's young Ariadne, here's Daedalus, XYZ. That one scene where it's supposed to be like 6 of us together, we're all filming it by ourselves. And there's so many times that like I'll like mess up like the one line because I have my AirPod in my ear and I'm trying to listen to what everybody else is saying from like a computer across the room. And then I'm screwing up and I'm just like saying the darndest things. And I just want to like hear what that's like. But yeah, it was interesting kind of being like in a shared space, but also physically in a lonely space, because you're kind of like by yourself, which I guess kind of helps for the show, since we wanted to make this idea of like we're all in the maze together by ourselves in our own stories. So there was like a bit of loneliness, but it's also like it was I've never done something like this, as much as I've done like recording for music and such, like I did for school, but I've never had it so like shared but individual by yourself, because there's like moments where it's like a 3-minute scene between me and Julianne. Daughter and dad are having a fight, and I can't tell you how many times I filmed that scene, and I'm like, Julianne is not there, but like I'm like, I just want to get this right, and I'm like, I don't have her to like play off of, but I also have her to play off of. It's weird.
I recorded the scene. A lot of things that we did was whisper down the lane sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like I recorded my scene using the dummy take that we did when we were just on a Zoom call, and the quality wasn't as good, but I still got the timing right of like between the lines. So I would record that, send it to Connor, and if this was like a group song, we would do the same thing with audio. Like someone who was very strong on like a melody line, we'd be like, that person, you sing with that person, and then they take that and they'd pass it on to the next person, all the while just trying to link everybody up into sync. It was, yeah.
So, Corin, how did you find the experience of doing a show on your own, but also together?
I don't think there's a better way to say it than what Julianne said, as chaotic good as possible. I have done some Zoom performances before. This was an entirely new animal. A good portion of the show was spent, or of the rehearsal process was spent doing a lot of exercises and trying to figure out what will work in this setting. We did a lot of stuff over Discord, which was both wonderful and chaotic all at the same time. And again, with the process of there's 5 of us all doing the same thing, all at the same time, all singing together in tight harmonies, trying to get that audio and the videos to sync up. I still don't know how our brilliant editors and sound designers have managed to make that happen, but they are amazing. I don't understand.
Yeah, the sound on the trailer, if that's any indication.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And Madeline, how was that for you, the filming process?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was also new to a Zoom recording thing, and it was a challenge for me to do like my own recordings, not because of like anybody else, but it was just like I would set everything up, I would put on the makeup, and then I just like my like anal personality would kick in. And I would like refilm things over and over again. So there is a lot of takes in my like Google Cloud or whatever. It was definitely fun, and I definitely had to like focus. it was an interesting challenge, and it turned out fun once I got it. It was a process.
Also, I don't know if like anybody else feels this way, but like since I've started doing like I've been doing fan edits basically to like help promote the show, but I've been looking into a lot of everybody else's submissions, and holy cow, talented cast. Because like I looked at Julianne's, and the whole time looking at Julianne's videos, I'm like, she's not real. How is she doing this? This is not real.
Because I'm not real. Because I'm not real, Connor.
But like everybody,
I just got a full-time job in marketing. I'm not real.
Yeah, I'm so excited just to see everybody else's what they've made, let alone what I made. I want to see what everybody else is bringing, because it's I don't even know the word, juicy stuff, good stuff.
I believe our dramaturg has referred to it as earnest and extra in the best way. So yeah, and there's a soft tragedy in that too, is like in a theater space, we would get to point at each other and be like, that cool thing you did. Oh, I love that. And we're all together feeling it. And now it's like, I think other people are doing things I'm not seeing, because I'm watching all this footage and I'm feeling the same way of like, oh, that's so great. They did that with the lighting. And like, I wouldn't have thought of that. And like, oh, that choice is so strong. And I'm like, and everyone's seeing this, right? And everyone else is like, press forward. So yeah, so I hope if absolutely no one else likes our concert and nobody sees it, which I hope they do, I hope they see it, at least you all can get to be like, wow, we are really cool, and like we are as earnest and extra in that chaotic good way. Yeah, I love you all.
So just to kind of wrap things up, obviously the demo tracks are available on YouTube, on your YouTube channel, and obviously you have a concert to be confirmed, but it is coming in the near future. We should keep an eye out for that. Obviously, when I upload the video, I'll put the links in the description of where they can find you and how they can follow the show and things like that. But apart from that, I just want to end by saying thank you very much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. And I am really excited to wait for the concert to be released. So thank you all very much, and I shall speak to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.